Hello again. For some reason the video just stopped midway to everything I was doing. Annoying. Very annoying at all. So like I was saying about time travel. Building a machine to time travel doesn't necessarily mean that you're gonna end up exactly where you think you're gonna end up. Nor through space and time, nor through the time itself. Um, I don't think we could devise a specific way to calculate times to teleport you from A to B at this exact location at the exact time. I think that the closest we could achieve would be the time portal is the most feasible idea because it's easier to be in a controlled environment, and if something happened, we can always fix things on the spot where we are in the labs, compared to like Back into the Future, where they're dependent on a machine that they build themselves and they didn't plan for any problem. They didn't plan what happened if the car breaks down, if there's an accident or anything like this. So that was pretty reckless of Doug Brown to build such a machine on a fragile vehicle, especially the DeLorean. And I was quite surprised, just as a side note, I was quite surprised that even though the genius that Doug Brown was, even though if he blew the carburetor and they were low on fuel, that he couldn't rig up the engine to do something else. Dude, you just created a time machine. How hard can it be for you to rig the engine, rebuild the engine, and make it running on hydrogen or an alcohol? There's enough alcohol where you are, so you could just run the engine on a lower level of alcohol and make it run. That was quite a flaw in the movie. Anyway, I diverge. Yeah, making a time portal would be easier to control because you have a better control to what happened. You could fix things. You could send someone through space and time. My biggest question would be how do they go back and forth if the portal is just one direction? That is one of my biggest questions. Sorry, I went to bed very late last night. And I work at 12 today. These days, it's not that I suffer from anxiety, but I'm always stressed out to think of an eventuality of how I'm going to make my payment every month. This is something that always pisses me off. How I'm going to clear my payment every month with the salary that I'm making right now. And how long can I last on that salary? That's my daily life. At least the hours are good. If I could find a more paying job with the same hours, I'd be very happy. I wouldn't mind working from 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock to 8, 9, 10 p.m. every day. I don't care. I like working in the evening. It's not something that bothers me. I don't have nothing to look forward to go back home except my apartment, my dump where I've been living for the last 16 years of my life. Hold on. So anyway, if I'm ever lucky enough to have someone who wants to fund me, I'll be able to make that project happen. I think if it was for my personal choice, I'd go back to probably go back to the 70s. I would buy some properties back then. I would buy like a lot of properties. And then today, being the owner of these properties, I would create my own little area. That would be very cool. Yeah, I would go and buy a lot of property when they were cheap. I remember my dad had a property in the Eastern Township that he bought for like 2 grand, and it was such a big property. And then many years later, he sold it to one of his brother-in-law for about 10 grand. Yeah, my dad and my mom were wise when they spend their money regarding like properties. I think my dad and my mom's first place that they bought for $25,000. And when we moved from there 8 year later, it was worth like 100 grand. And then we moved somewhere else on another property that my dad had acquired when he was younger, and he bought that property for $1,000, and it was like a huge space. Yeah, I wish I would have been that wise when I was younger, but in my age and my times, everything was expensive, and now it's even more expensive. It's crazy. Anyway, I diverge. I'll see you guys later. That's enough for today. I have to go to work. Have a good day, everyone.